Okay, I don't want to make sure I'm not blowing out anybody's eardrums right now, am I? Let me know in the chat. Thank you, Zena, for the 9-month member chat. I appreciate it. So let me know. Let me know. Are we good? I'm just want to make sure. Good to go, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about when it comes to old Zillbilly. Sounds good. Nah, my ears. All right, cool. So, what is up, everybody? It is it's time for the Zillbillies to rise up, I guess. Connor Zilic gets an oval win since we weren't counting Pocono. I know people are gonna be like, "Whoa, it was rained out and all that," but he was the guy who led the most laps. It was a pretty damn good showing on his part. This was the 2025 Bet Rivers 200, 134 laps, not 133, 134 laps, 3 cautions, 18 laps of caution, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 51 seconds, 4 lead changes, no margin of victory because it was called early. And like I said, Connor Zilic, your winner in this event. Win number 99 for JRM. Let me know, out of 10, what did you think about this race? Let me know down in the chat below. I'm curious to see. Definitely a kind of a because of it being shortened, there was a little intensity towards the end of when it was run, but there was definitely not the buildup you would get in a normal race. So I see 8, 7, 6, 6.88, 5, 4, 6, 5, 2, 5, minus 88. We got a non-Zillbilly. I think I got you already with a 7, 5, minus 88,000. 5, 6. Okay, so generally people are kind of thinking it was in the middle, mid-race. Now I get that. You get these rained out races. There was definitely, like I said, it was kind of the paint by numbers as it went. There wasn't much that really would happen after the restarts. There was not much of a rhythm that was caught up in. And we'll talk about all of that in a little bit. Let's go through the finishing order of this race. Connor Zilic, your winner. He leads 77 laps and are out to his 5th Xfinity win before even turning 19 years old. We all know he's going to be heading up to Cup next year at this rate. So not surprised that he's been pretty damn good. Eric Almirola with the 2nd place finish today. And then Brandon Jones, fastest lap by 100th of a second over Connor Zilic, finishes 3rd. Justin Allgaier comes from last place starting. I know that technically he started 7th by the numbers, but had to go to the rear. Comes home with a 4th place run. 5th goes Jesse Love. Then Ryan Sieg with a much needed great finish in 6th. 7th, Taylor Gray, who led 49 laps to start this, had some pit issues, was not able to really fully recover and get himself back into the true contention of this race. Pole sitter looked pretty good, though. Sheldon Creed with an 8th place run. 9th, William Sawalich. Again, we talked about it all year, how, just let's be honest, awful he's been, and we want to see something different. We want to see some kind of improvement. William Sawalich ran pretty much top 10 all day. He finished 8th and 9th in the stages, 9th in the race itself, and 134 of 200 laps. So he was well into this race running top 10. Then you got Christian Eckes in the 10th spot. From there, Harrison Burton finishes 11th. 12th is Sam Mayer. Austin Hill 13th. Matty D in 14th. 15th is Carson Quapple. Then Dean Thompson 16th. Jake Finch in the 17th spot in the 17, starting out for Hendrick Motorsports today. Ryan Truex, 2-time defending winner, was not a factor today. 18th place run in that 24 car. Then you got Parker Retzlaff in 19th, Jeb Burton 20th, 21st Danny Dye, then Raja Karuth, first start in the Xfinity Series this season, 22nd, Anthony Alfredo 23rd, 24th Sammy Smith, Brennan Poole in the 25th spot. Jeremy Clements comes home in 26th, 27th for Josh Williams. LeVar Scott, last one in the lead lap, but a lead lap finish in his debut, 28th position. 1 lap down for Leland Honeyman in 29th, 3 laps down for Ryan Ellis in 30th. Kaz Grala brings our motorsports home, 3 laps down and a 31st place finish in their last start. But hey, it's on the positive note. They didn't crash their last start, which if they had Chris Wright in the car, they probably would have. 32nd, 3 down for Blaine Perkins. Same goes for Nick Lights in 33rd and Josh Balicki 34th, 35th, Garrett Smithley, and 3 laps led, 3 laps down in 36th, last on the racetrack for Kyle Sieg. Sieg tried to play a bit of a strategy game, tried maybe to be out there if the rain hit, or be out there if, say they could get fresher tires, an extra set. Ends up falling like a rock, finishes 36th in this race. 37th out of the race, Nick Sanchez, and Ross Chastain brings it home in the last position. We'll have the results on the bottom for you. As for the point standings at this point, no pun intended, I believe there are 6 races left until the Xfinity Series playoffs. Zilich now alone on the top of the heap with 4 wins, most wins in the series. Allgaier and Hill with 3. They were the ones tied with him in that moment. But when you look at the guys with the bubble, 8th place Sam Mayer plus 162 looks pretty good. Same for Carson Quapple in 9th plus 86. And hey, Creed, you know what? We criticized him on NWP a couple weeks ago, and he has delivered. Plus 61, full race worth of points up in 10th. 11th is Gray plus 36th. Jeb Burton now 7 points over his cousin Harrison on that cut line. Harrison Burton, he just keeps staying alive, man. Keeps staying alive in that fight. And you know what? Honorable mention after a really solid day, looking at the stages, he got 5th place stage points in stage 2 and a 6th place finish. Ryan Sieg, 30 out now, somewhat within a striking distance, especially with Indianapolis, which, if you remember last year, if they bring back that same package, was pretty wild. So just saying, there is plenty to look at here when it comes to the Xfinity Series playoffs and as it's going. As for this race, Grace, like I said, started at the front. There were weepers in the front stretch. Weather has just been just a plague on Dover over the last couple of years. Whether you look at the Xfinity race last year, last couple of years of Cup races have either been under threat or rained out. It has been a nightmare weather-wise, no matter where it's at on the schedule for Dover. I feel for you guys. I've seen you guys in the chat, by the way. I have seen you guys that are at the track in the chat. One, I appreciate you guys watching while you're there. But 2, I feel for y'all because Dover, I think, has delivered on making the fan experience better, on bringing more people in. And unfortunately, it's just the weather has been just, what. Again, the start was even delayed because of weepers. Who knows, what time and laps and all that could have changed. Probably not much, but you never know. And again, it was very, very paint by numbers to start. Taylor Gray on the pole, has huge launch, wins the stage over Eric Almirola, who finished 2nd in each stage and 2nd in the race. Eric Almirola is probably, in my opinion, the only one that would have had a true battle for Connor Zilich in this race. He was the one that was constantly up there with Gray. He was up there with Zilich towards the end of stage 2, and he was starting to come on a bit stronger as the run went on. He definitely had the long run car. I think one of the biggest turning points of the race with how short it was when Gray had that issue. Bad pit stop. The jack went down too early, had to go back around, put it back up so that the rear tire changer could go around, if I remember correctly. And because of that, he just, again, was put back into the pack. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking through stage 2, and yeah, he didn't even get top 10 in the stage, was able to at least have some sort of recovery. But just, you just can't make those mistakes in Xfinity. The races already are so short. Now you shorten them more. There's nothing really you can do. I mean, looking through though, you could tell this was totally going to be that battle to the rain as it went. The booth was trying to play denial really well. And they weren't playing it well enough. We all kind of knew they were trying to lay it on a little too thick. And you knew going back to green, even when Sieg stayed out, that's like, yeah, you know why he's staying out. They're not staying out for the tires probably as much as they probably a little bit for the tires, good amount, but they're also staying out because if it rains, they'd be in a good spot. That I think in a lot of ways sealed the race too for Zilich. He was able to get a great restart there, nail it, get out to the front while the 28 was bottling up the field, and from there, really the only stuff that happened is Ross and Sanchez had some terminal issues. At that point, it was a 30 or so. Let's see, they got back going, 101 to go. So it was about a 33 lap run to the rain, which is a little bit under what the stages were. It's about what the run in the second stage was after they got that back going. So, I would have loved to have seen how this race played out because I do think that Almirola had something for Zilich. And I think if the long run was allowed to play out, we would have had that. But we're not going to know, unfortunately. He ended up getting the race called after about, I want to say, a good half hour to an hour of red flag of NASCAR trying to dry it out. But the storm cell was building. The cell that they thought was going to probably form and hit tomorrow, at least earlier in the week that was projected. I apologize. It ended up hitting tonight. And with a relatively later start with the Xfinity series, there's not much room for error. Once it started raining again, it took an hour to dry the track. At that rate, we probably would have got 10 minutes of racing in. It's a bummer. Don't get me wrong. I would probably give this race like a 5 out of 10. It's just, this is in the middle, it's very much soured by the rain delay. I do think, again, the end of the race would have probably spiced up a bit more than maybe the people were saying. But at the end of the day, it's just plays out how it plays out sometimes. There's not much more to say about this race, really, other than it was just a great race for Zilich. After the first 49 laps, if I'm not mistaken, he led all but the 3 that Kyle Sieg led. Might have been like a couple less here or there, but it was basically that. I mean, I get people, wanting to move the date around and stuff. It's just Dover was rained out in May. It was every now and then rained out in the June side of things. It's been rained out, it has rain as a threat now in July. It's just, sometimes you just get bad luck too. Mother Nature just hates you. I know people are saying get ready for the Mother Nature 400 tomorrow, but tomorrow's forecast looks way better than today's did. At least I can double check again for you. I think it looks a lot better though, unless it's changed. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow, at least according to the weather.com, it's 15% chance. Everywhere I look, the highest is about 25% chance for tomorrow. So, I don't really know what the what's it called? The fix for this is. Sometimes tracks get bad luck. I mean, there's that string of years where Michigan every year, one of the 2 dates would rain out. Pocono had a string for a while like that. Sometimes you just get bad luck too. I see people put it back in September, maybe be part of the playoffs. They've been shuffling the tracks around. Maybe that's an option they can do, put it back where it used to be. But even then it got rain, does Dover deserve 2 dates? No. No, I like having it at 1, consolidate that date. But overall, it was very much just a generic paint by numbers, quick race, right? I wish there was more to say about it, but I honestly think that tomorrow, the interesting part for me is tomorrow, like the dirty air has been such a factor the last few races because of this car. I hesitate to say that tomorrow like would be more interesting, but I do think it will. With the new tire, especially with no track time, like Miles might be taking some bites out of some cars tomorrow. Um, just saying, man. Just saying. Be sure to tune in because it might be pretty damn crazy. Yeah, new tire, no practice, no testing. They talked about earlier this week for it. I don't know, man. That sounds like a recipe for Miles again to feast tomorrow. And yeah, someone said SVG starting P6 tomorrow. Best start ever. Now, granted, it was the metric, but hey, just saying, he's getting better at ovals, even if it's just the metric helping him out. Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe on the front row. These kind of races happen. It's the first race of the year that got rained out. We have that happen. It's okay. We've honestly been pretty lucky this year with weather. And I think as NASCAR fans, we should probably remember that. We have been very, very fortunate for the weather to kind of sway our way in this season. And every now and then we're going to have a weekend like this one where maybe one of the races gets affected. Maybe both do. And next week at Indy, already the early forecast looking a little rough. But again, things can change. These are things we got to deal with, though, during the season. It's very rare we go through a season with very minimal delays, like delays and endings early like we've had this year. And I think it's important to remember that and have it as a positive. I remember, I think the first year I watched was, I think it was 2005. We had I don't think we had any races rain till Monday. And then we might have had a delay at Daytona. That was about it. There might have been another one here, or two or something, but it was a very fortunate one. And then the next year in 2006, there were a bunch of races rained to Monday on the Cup side, let alone the Xfinity series, lower series, all of that. So, I'm gonna stay a little positive about this. I know it sucks today, but if we got to bite the bullet on an Xfinity race at Dover of any race, I'm okay with it. All right, all right. If any race we got to have that happen to, it's okay that it's this one. Again, I feel bad for those at the track, but it is what it is. It's kind of the nature of the beast. This is JRM's 99th win as a team. Easily, I mean, if they hadn't already, they're easily cemented as one of the greatest teams in NASCAR Xfinity Series history. So, if anything, this of course cemented in. I put a poll in the chat, and we got about 300 votes on it. And I said, "Who gets win 100 for JRM?" We're gonna end the poll here. 2/3 of you, roughly, say Connor Zilic will. 65% do. 30% go to Allgaier. 3% go to Quapple, and 1% go to Sammy Smith. I know that the percentages don't add up. Sleeping on Allgaier a little bit. Just saying, he's one of the most consistent guys in Xfinity Series history, especially the last decade or so. Just saying, put numbers in the chat. 88, 7, 1, 8. And you know what? For the hell of it, put 9 in there because there's going to be more guys in the 9 car. Who gets win 100 for Xfinity? What team does? I'm seeing 7. I'm seeing 9, 88, 7, 88. 9, 88, 88, 88, 88. A lot of y'all going for Zillbilly. 7. We're just, so they're still a good amount of you. Again, just saying, anyone but the 8. I don't know if it's because you dislike Sammy Smith or you have no faith in him. I'm just saying, I think it's going to be between the 88 and the 7. But wouldn't it be pretty cool if that win did come from somebody like Carson Quapple? I think that would actually be very fitting for JR Motorsports. The thing for me is the 8 would be fitting because of Dale Jr.'s legacy with that number, with that font. Carson Quapple, I think, would be really fitting because it's, that step up of a really, really good prospect. And it's very much in JRM's DNA, right? Zilic being the prodigy, being maybe possibly another great coming up through that pipeline would be fitting. But also Justin Allgaier, for all that he's given to the team and all he's, won with that team, would be fitting. I think all 4 of the full-time drivers would be a very, very fitting kind of win for them and very satisfactory. I just hope it's not like today and it's a rain out one. I hope it's like if it happens next week at Indy, I hope it's like a duel to the finish, really awesome kind of deal like that. Um, we're gonna do the super chat cooldown and then finish off talking about some of the stuff they talked about in the broadcast for today. Of course, we talked about Zenith, the 9-month member chat. I appreciate it a ton. Yeah, Young Money saying Connor Zilich gets his first NASCAR oval win, and no, Pocono doesn't count because it's a triangle, not an oval. Sure, semantic arguments, all that, but it's technically true. And it very much races more like a road course, honestly, compared to other ovals. And a challenging place too. I'm telling you, Connor Zilich has went like full Aang avatar state right now, where he got his back injury, he got hit, and now he's unlocked his chakra, man. He's ready to go, and he has been on a just scorched freaking earth since he's gotten back. And then Young Money also says RIP to Our Motorsports 2020 to 2025. See, everyone's gonna blame Chris Wright. I think Chris Wright was a symptom. They had to get a pay driver to come in. They had to have a guy that buy his ride to keep the team afloat. Unfortunately, he sucked and couldn't keep the team afloat because he kept wrecking up your damn car. Jan NASCAR fan also with the 5 here saying, giving me non-flashbacks as a Jeff Gordon fan at Martinsville 2012 with that pole. Still hate Rudiman for that and costing Gordon win 200 for HMS. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. It seems like the universe is very, has a lot of karma built up when it comes to big milestone wins like that. Wouldn't it be crazy if they follow the footsteps of HMS's 200 win and it takes forever to end up getting that win? It's like you have everything in place to get that win. You even have the Cup guys coming down that can probably dominate and get those wins, and a million things happen. Very much could. I see it wasn't Rudiman, it was Boyer. So no, Rudiman stopped on the track in that, and then Boyer ended up doing the dive bomb. But a lot of people seem to forget about the Boyer part of it, is that he got hit in the back and sent in there by Ryan Newman, I believe it was. The whole chain reactions, no one's big fault, anything like that. I mean, it's all of them, like it is. But it could take a while. It really could. And I get ready, because again, the racing gods are very cruel with that. Now they mentioned it on the broadcast today, and I wanted to mention it before we ended up finishing this off, that former 1960 NASCAR Cup Series champion Rex White passed away. I believe yesterday is what they were saying, unless it was Friday of last week. I don't remember exactly which one they said. I believe it was yesterday. Again, I think it's important to pay honor to those that came before us. And I found this stat interesting. He is the shortest NASCAR champion ever. He stood at 5'4", short stature, but a huge presence. In the 9 years he raced in Cup, he got 28 wins in that time and is currently tied for 31st all time on the NASCAR Cup Series wins list with Carl Edwards, again, 1960 champion. I'm glad that NASCAR, and I'm glad that the broadcast today highlighted him as somebody to remember. Right. Yes. I mean, he was the original NASCAR short king. And again, very important to remember those that paved the way before us. And I wanted to make sure that we mentioned him here today before we were signing off or anything happened like that. Again, awesome that they gave that honor also before the race as well. He's the NASCAR short king. And then Steven, I see you at the 10 here, calling it now. Chicagoland and the Chicago Street will switch year to year. Speedway gets the even years, City gets the odd years. Same will happen to Roval and Charlotte when Charlotte doesn't host the championship. I wouldn't be surprised for the short term if that happened. I definitely wouldn't. just because the city has shown some interest. I think the thing is that a lot of people have talked about the possibility of 2 races in the market. Denny's talked about it. I've seen people that work at NASCAR talk about it. I've seen people like on the broadcast bring it up. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried it. I don't think it's a good idea. But the momentum behind Chicagoland's there. I will not lie to you how excited I am for that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they switch back and forth year to year. Same with Charlotte and the Roval. Personally, I think they should just switch to the Oval at Charlotte and then maybe do the Roval as their novelty thing every now and then. You know, I get, you know, I get this. It could be Chicagoland or bust. I will say right now, I do know that the track is getting good things done to it. It's the Carson host of our video was taken at the wrong time because they literally once a month actually come in and like they let the grass grow high. They let a lot of that stuff, at least in the infield and everything like that, grow high and then bale it up. So if you drive past the track right now, there's should be giant bales of grass and hay through there. So it's kind of poor timing on that end of it, but is what it is. Probably take, again, they would have to get it announced soon. I do think the schedule's coming out soon based on the Chicago news, the San Diego news, the Chicagoland rumors, and the fact that now it seems like Mexico is the only hangup, which it sounds like they're getting close to a decision on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 or 3 weeks we get the schedule released. I personally would not be surprised. But hey, man, there's it's going to be a wild August. I think will be a very wild news cycle for NASCAR. I'll say that. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Tomorrow is a very busy day. I will not be in my normal setting. I'm going to be over at old Jonathan Ramos's house, aka Eddie K Player. Watch race with him. Do the post race as normal. Should get in just fine. And I'm also co-commentating the Hoosier 400 with him tomorrow. Probably just right after that stream, maybe an hour after. So very busy day tomorrow. Hope you guys can come on in for the post race and also the race itself. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And again, I think one last time we should say rest in peace and prayers go out to the family of Rex White, former NASCAR champion, and short king of NASCAR, you know, man. Let's keep it on the positive. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe and see you then. Later.